in terms of what the shaitan actually looks like. And when we say what he looks like, we're talking about his original form. We're not talking about if he takes on a different form. That's going to come up shortly, inshallah ta'ala, the shaitan taking on different forms. So normally, I know when we think of the shaitan or we think of the devil, we have a certain image that comes in our mind. So what type of things do we think about, or what type of things, or what comes to your mind when you think of Satan or the shaitan? So, naam, raise your hand. Bismillah. Yeah, just anything, inshallah, anything that comes to your mind.
Evil look.
An evil look. Okay, so, in terms of physically, what comes to our mind normally? I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, right? But I'm saying this is what normally comes to our mind. Yeah.
Red skin, 2 horns, a tail, holding a trident, stuff like that.
Very good. Yeah. So that's the common image that people have of the shaitan: red skin, horns, tail, a trident. What else? Anything else? Nothing else we missed out? Maybe claws, right? Fangs. Yeah, things like that. Is that what comes to mind? Anything else? Anyone want to add something that we missed? Yeah, hooves maybe. Basically certain animal parts, right? Sometimes people imagine like a ram's skull or something, or like a ram's horns and things like that. Okay, so regarding what we actually know about the shaitan, right? Regarding what we can say for sure about the shaitan, is none of what you just said. We can't verify any of that other than maybe the horns. We'll talk about the horns in a little bit, but other than the horns, everything else that we hear about the shaitan, we can't verify that, right? But we do know this. We do know that the shaitan, Iblis, is ugly. Like not just ugly, but like horrific. Or we can say scary. Other than that, we don't have any information about the shaitan, as I'm putting the issue of the horns aside, but we do know that it is, he is horrific, he's ugly, and an indication to that is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the fruit of the tree of Zaqum in the hellfire. It is described as the heads of the shayateen, طَلْعُهَا كَأَنَّهُ رُؤُوسُ الشَّيَاطِينَ, that the fruits of this tree, this is a tree, a zaqum, a tree in the hellfire, which will be food for the people of the hellfire. This is a form of punishment, and they will eat from this tree, and it will cause their insides to boil. We ask Allah to protect us. But the fruit of this tree is described as the heads of the shayateen. So what we can say, is, yes, the shaitan indeed is ugly and horrific to look at. Now, other than that, in my research, I haven't been able to come across anything concrete. I've seen statements and come across statements, but none of them have any evidence that we can say for sure. So I refrain from mentioning any other traits, any other physical traits of the shaitan. Like I said, these are matters of the unseen. So in order for us to make a statement about it, we would have to have some type of evidence or some type of proof. Some of the scholars have mentioned, by the way, a side point, or 2 points I want to mention to you about the ugliness of the shaitan. Number one, one of the things that, one of the questions that I had when I was researching this issue was that why is it that we can't see the shaitan? And why is it that we haven't been given descriptions, like clear descriptions of the shaitan? And one of the answers to that is that the shaitan himself, Iblis, is so horrific looking that it would actually like psychologically scar us. Like we wouldn't be able to function. And it would like deeply affect us. And what indicates that is actually the angels, right? So what do I mean by that? When the Prophet ﷺ saw the angel Jibreel for the first time, in his original form, we know the angels can take on other form as well, but in his original form, what happened to the Prophet ﷺ? What happened? he got scared, right? And he almost fainted, right? He was scared. Now, the angel Jibril, is he ugly? No, he's actually beautiful. But it was so out of the ordinary, it was so out of this world, it was so strange to the Prophet ﷺ that he got scared. And that is the Prophet ﷺ, number one, and that is an angel. Now imagine if one of us were to see something that was that out of this world, but also was ugly, right? So that kind of gives you an idea of the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in keeping something like that hidden from us, in the world of the jinn, hidden from us, right? So that's one of the wisdoms there, that we cannot see the shaitan in his original form, and we cannot see the form of the shaitan. Also, when we're talking about ugliness, oftentimes you'll hear scholars talk about the ugliness of sins, or nur upon someone's face, or darkness upon someone's face. And first of all, that has nothing to do with skin complexion, right? Darkness and lightness is not speaking about skin complexion. It is talking about nur, which is something that the heart sees, right? And that's why sometimes you may have experienced this as well, but you look at someone, who seems pious, someone who seems like they've devoted themselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and regardless of their physical features, regardless of the complexion of their skin, regardless of their body type or whatever, they're just a pleasant looking person, right? Something about them feels pleasant, right? And we say this is like the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance upon this face. And sometimes the opposite is true as well. Sometimes we see someone who is evil, someone who has done a lot of bad, or someone who continues to be sinful or harm people or whatever it may be. And regardless of the color of their skin, or regardless of their physical features, sometimes it may be like a stereotypically good-looking person as well. But we may be able to sense the darkness or the ugliness of their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So some scholars have said that is an indication of how there's this ugliness of Iblis, that it doesn't have to be necessarily physical, but we're talking about something that is outside of our world, right? And we're trying to kind of make sense of it in our world, but the reality is this is not something that we have access to, right? So whether he's actually physically ugly, or that's basically a feeling that someone would get if they were to ever look upon the shaitan or the shayateen, Allah knows best. But we can say, yes, his appearance, it would be ugly, right? It would be something which is horrific.